Hello beauties and welcome back in. Today I am going to hopefully inspire you to make a beautiful minimalist pair of floating earrings. I am on project 6 for those of you that are following along in project mode from Earthy Elements Sparkle Bag, my sparkle bag for March 2025. This is project 6, friends. Use any beads you want that will fit on your chain. Let's go through supplies. I am utilizing some Coriana beading chain here in gold. I've cut 4 links, 2 3/4 inches each. You can cut this to length, obviously, any size you want. I've cut 4. I have some #1 crimps, and then I have some #1 crimp beads and #1 crimp tubes. Now, why did I do that? Absolutely no reason other than I really want to make sure that I'm putting the tube at the bottom of my float because that acts as the stopper of my beads, right? So I'm using the #1 crimp tubes at the very bottom. The crimp beads, #1s, will go for our float. I'm just going to use one 6mm jump ring, one clamshell, and the beads I'm using is 2 6mm banded agate and coconut. I am also using 5 4mm faceted rondelles in old lace and 4 4mm rondelles in the khaki bronze. You can use any beads you want. And I'm using these little wood, adorable, I cannot even with these earrings. I can't. They're so cute. I actually have a couple things I want to do with these, but this will be the first earring project for these particular findings that you received if you got my Earthy Elements bag. Here's where we're going. And that's what I wound up with. Now, I want you to notice, and then we're going to just jump right in. This can be a really quick tutorial, or design inspiration, rather. On a couple of them, I did not put a crimp to stabilize in a couple of them. And there's absolutely zero reason. I just want them to be floaty. In this particular case, it's gravity, right? So they're not going to really move around. When I do both sides of my stabilization, it typically, like on this one on the bottom and then this one right here, well, because I had to, because I needed them to be, not moving up, but they're earrings. I usually only do the crimps on either side of my float when I'm doing a bracelet, but obviously going my ear, they're going to hang down. So that's where we're going. So in order to start out, I am going to go ahead and work from the bottom up. And let me organize you a little bit better here. I'm going to work from the bottom up here, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is grab one of these crimp tubes that I have. I'm going to feed that down my chain. And I'm going to use my crimper tool. You can also use your chain nose. But this one I'm doing this for the particular reason that I've already mentioned. I do not want to lose my agates. Push it down all the way to the bottom, leaving a smidge of a tail. And now let me give that a nice crump. And I got my crimp. Notice how I hope you can see that I really squeezed it. That's not going anywhere, but you do your tug test to make sure. Perfect. And then I'm going to put my banded agate down. And then I need to do a crimp. So now we're going to jump into the crimp beads for the full earring. And then I'm doing a 4mm old lace and then a crimp. And then the khaki bronze. and the old lace. I'm going to put those two together. And then a crimp. And then a khaki. And okay, so that's what I've got on the first one. I'm going to lay that down and we'll build the second one. Same thing, I'm going to grab this crimp tube and feed it down my chain and use my crimper tool and that bottom divot and pulling that down, leaving a little bit of a tail and squeezing it really firmly. Do my tug test there. I think we're good. And then I'll put on my agate. And now on this strand, I am going to do a little bit of a float for the very first one. And so we will go with the old lace. And then I need, nope, I just did that wrong. I need to do the khaki first. And then we need a crimp. You can do any kind of fun pattern. I'm just trying to mix mine up. I don't want them to be exact. And then I'll put on an old lace. These beads are perfect, you guys, for this chain, these 4 millimeters. And then I'll go with an old lace. Did I just do that wrong? I did. Yeah, I had it right the first time. My bad. So yeah, I just am literally not particularly, guys, doing any particular pattern. Actually, all 4 strands, 2 for each earring, right? They literally all look just a smidge different, which was just exactly what I'm looking for. I think these look really cute on these little ear wires. So there's another crimp and then my last bead. Okay, and so that's what I have. Okay, now what I'm gonna do, guys, is I am going to use, well, first of all, we need to get our clamshell on this beading wire. Belly up, so I'm gonna put that first one through, and then the second one. I've got both of my pieces of chain fed up my clamshell there. All right, and I'm just gonna pull them even at the top as I can get it here. And we're gonna feed on the number 2 crimp tube to put both of these pieces of chain through one crimp. Unless then I did not grab the right size, which is highly possible. This might be the number ones that I just grabbed for the bottom. No, this is the number 2. So I've got that fed down on there. Okay, and now this is where you want to be flush and precise. So we're going to make sure that our Coriana chain is laying next to each other when we crimp this. And I'm flush at the top. So same thing, I'm going to pull this crimp up just about to the edge, leaving a very small tail, and I'm going to give it a squeeze. And do my tug test, make sure that grabbed onto my chain, and it did. That's what it looks like. Okay, and I'll pull my clamshell up. And then we'll go ahead and close the belly. Grab my chain nose to help that along. Squeeze that gently. And now I am going to feed on my ear wire with my jump ring. Put that through my clamshell. And I'm using a 20 gauge, guys, it's a really thick jump ring that just flung across the room. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want these to be snug, and so a 20 gauge 6mm jump ring actually fits perfectly through the holes of my clamshell, making sure they're staying closed so I don't have to use glue, but you can if you want, and perfectly on these wood ear findings without it being tight and they still have some flow. Okay, so there we go. And then there's my little earring. I'll pop that on and you'll see what I mean here as I close this up. Literally, it could not fit more perfect. Look at that. There's like almost no gap. It's just perfect. And so that's how that's gonna lay. And now we'll do our little floats. And you can just have any kind of fun with this. I'm gonna lay them down side by side, and I will work on one side at a time. And so I am going to go ahead and pull that crimp bead up with my pliers to the desired position and give it a squeeze. And then I'm going to take these two and push them into place. Give that a squeeze. And then this last one here, I'm going to actually wait. I'm going to go over here. Let's see what I have. Put them in between here. So maybe about right there. And again, notice how I'm holding my banded agate. Okay, well, again, apparently words are still quite challenging for me, friends. In place. So there's that guy. And now here's this one. Put that right there. And the next one. About right there. Just squeezing that. One nice squeeze over my chain. And then we'll get this next guy pushed up right there. And then the last one. Let's see where that's landing here. Get that last one pushed up just a little bit. About right there. And voila! There are our earrings. Gorgeous! Oh, and let me pull you guys back down. I hope you guys enjoyed that fun inspiration for some floating earrings. These are so light as a feather and so precious. But notice again how each strand is totally different. There's no symmetry. Oh, I missed one. Right here. Did I? Yeah, I think I did. No. That's where he landed. Okay, that's fine. That looks cool too. Thought I missed one. There we go, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed Project 6. Until the next video, friends. Be blessed.